The Oregon Christian Home Education Association Network has championed the cause of homeschool freedoms in Oregon for more than 30 years. While Oregon parents currently enjoy many homeschool freedoms, this hasn't always been the case. In the early 1980s, families had to ask their local school districts for permission to homeschool. Some districts granted permission grudgingly. Others made stipulations, such as requiring the students to take an annual achievement test in the public classroom with 30 strangers. Some required families to submit a year's lessons plans, and still others just refused outright. In 1985, homeschoolers, acting on the principle that parents should not have to ask permission to exercise their God-given responsibilities to raise their children, worked tirelessly in Salem to pass a homeschool bill that allowed parents anywhere in the state to simply notify that they were going to homeschool, not asking permission or submitting lesson plans or testing in the public school. The trade-off was that homeschoolers had to test annually, but they could do it with other homeschool students and not in a public classroom. In 1987, and every legislative session for years, bills were introduced which threatened to take away the newly established homeschool freedom. Homeschoolers, often led by volunteers from OCEANetwork, were instrumental in shutting down bill after bill. In 1990, the Oregon Department of Education attempted to implement administrative rules that were ill-conceived and would have required many homeschoolers to return to the classroom. Before the existence of email or the internet, OCEANetwork used its list of homeschool support groups and a postcard mailing to inform families of the hearing on the rules. More than 1,000 home educators came to Salem on short notice. Buses ferried homeschoolers from the Salem Armory to the hearing location. The line to give testimony was more than 5 blocks long. The changes to the administrative rules were canceled, and Oregon homeschool families gained the respect of the legislature. Even so, the Department of Education continued its efforts to tighten up the homeschool environment. In 1997, standing on the principles that government should not have a role in the way families choose to educate their children, OCEANetwork submitted a Total Freedom Homeschool Bill, and the governor vetoed it. By God's grace, during the next legislative session, lobbyists that typically had spoken against such efforts in the past sided with the homeschool parents. Homeschoolers had to compromise in the process, but the bill was still an improvement over the homeschool law. Though not the total freedom bill that we had hoped for, the 1999 law greatly increased freedom for homeschoolers in Oregon, and it put many of the homeschool rules into statute where the Department of Education could not change them. It decreased the burden of achievement testing and provided additional freedom for families with special needs children. And by God's grace, the governor signed it. These are just a few of the battles that OCEANetwork has engaged in on behalf of homeschool freedoms in Oregon, and the work continues. The OCEANetwork Freedom Watch team strives diligently year-round to monitor proposed legislation, watch the Department of Ed for change in administrative rules, and engage local education service districts who misinterpret the homeschool law. OCEANetwork continues to protect and expand the freedom to home educate our children as we see fit and promote independent parent-led home instruction. The freedoms that Oregon homeschoolers now have were bought by the diligence and courage of those who went before us. And there still is more progress to make. In the words of Ronald Reagan, freedom is never more than one generation from extinction. As we look to the future, we invite you to join OCEANetwork and resolve to protect the freedoms so courageously earned by generations past. And we urge you to stand with OCEANetwork to help preserve those freedoms for the generations to come.